Hello students. Our next lesson is about Pythagorean theorem. This is one of the most famous theorems in mathematics. It's a formula that helps us to find missing side of the right angle triangle when two other sides are given. The theorem states that if triangle is right, the square of the length of the hypotenuse side is equal to the squares of the length of the two legs. And you know that hypotenuse side is always longer than the two legs. So how do we use this theorem to solve the problems in your homework? Here, look at this example. Example 1, we have a right angle triangle. We need to find this x, the value of this x, the length of the hypotenuse side, and you are given the two legs. So before we start anything, doing anything, we have to write the formula first, or the theorem first. The theorem is c squared equals to a squared plus b squared. Okay. After writing the theorem, the next step is to substitute in it. Substitute the given and the x. So here you can see the x is the longest side. That is going to replace the c. The c here is the hypotenuse side. So c squared will be replaced. C will be replaced by x. So it's going to be x squared equals to a and b can be any one of those. It doesn't matter which one you choose for a and b. So I'm going to choose for a 12. So 12 squared plus 5 squared. Okay. Next step is to use your calculator and find the squares of these two. 12 square is 144 plus 5 squared is 25. Now you add these two. 144 plus 25 is 169, and here we have x squared. Okay, so but we have to find x, not the x squared, and this time we can take a square root to get rid of this square on both sides. Square and square root, you know that it will cancel, and x is equal to 169. Use your calculator. Square is equal to 13. Okay. The second example. In second example, you can see the leg is missing. Hypotenuse side is given, one leg is given, and the leg is missing. You can still use the same formula, same form. Okay. C squared. Write always the formula is equal to a squared plus b squared. Okay, and then substitute c. The c is 14 now. So 14 squared equals to, again a can be, but when leg is missing, I recommend always use for a x, the missing value. So x squared plus 8 squared, because if you use x on the left hand side, then it will be easy for you to do the inverse operation, or to take 8 squared to the other side. So x squared plus 64, and 14 squared, using calculator, it's going to be 196. Okay, and now because we have to isolate x, 64 needs to be taken to the other side. So we subtract 64 from both sides. X squared is going to be equal to 196 minus 64 is 132. Okay, taking square root on both sides. Square root of 132 is equal to, get the answer as a decimal to one decimal place, it says 11.48, but when you round it to one decimal place, it's going to be 11.5. So the value of x here is equal to 11.5. Okay. Example number 3. Example number 3 is it's a kind of compound problem, compound figure. But when you see the whole triangle, the big triangle has these two sides equal. If the two sides of a triangle are equal, then it's isosceles triangle. Isosceles triangle, we did a lesson about isosceles triangle. The base angles are going to be equal, and the altitude or the height for the triangle is always perpendicular bisector, or it divides the base into two equal parts. So the base is 8 units. When this height divides it into two equal parts, each part is going to be 4 and 4. So before we use the Pythagorean theorem, we have to identify the right angle triangles here. So you can see here we have a right angle triangle right here. Half of it is a right angle triangle. So let's write it outside the figure. The figure is that 4, 9, and this is the missing value f, missing x. Okay, so again, start with the formula. C squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. This time c is 9. So 9 squared is equal to a, as I said, should be x, and b is 4, so 4 squared. Using calculator, x squared plus 16, 9 squared is 81. Subtracting 16 from both sides, x squared is equal to 81 minus 16. 81 minus 16 equals 65. Okay, and then taking square root on both sides, x is going to be equal to square root of 65 is 8.06, which is going to be 8.1 if you round it to one decimal place. So this is it. Thanks for watching. Bye.